Hello everyone, Red Robot here, and we're going to be talking about the soldier changes in the gunmetal update. Man, the soldier changes we've got here are really big. Three weapons changed: the Airstrike, the Liberty Launcher, and the Black Box. And the others were just a few bug fixes, really, not really worth noting. Anyway, starting off here with the Airstrike on CP Snowplow. Now, this weapon, I loved it before this update. But now it's just gotten ridiculous. I mean, this is sort of like a babyface's blaster level of buff, going from what it was when it was released, which was useless, to just seemingly extremely overpowered. Now, I don't know if that's just because I'm playing against pubbers and I can get easy kills. Like, I'm not sure how effective this weapon would be in competitive, but just as for the game, as it is the normal game that everyone plays, it's totally ridiculous. So what changed about it? Well, first of all, they removed the clip size penalty. So now you have 4 rockets, just like a regular rocket launcher to start with. It doesn't increase the max number of rockets you get though. They reduced the radius penalty on your explosions from minus 15% to minus 10%. So your explosions got a little bit bigger, a tiny change. They also changed your damage penalty, this is the big one, from 25% to minus 15%. Which means that your rockets will just be doing slightly less than normal rocket damage. And as for the negative changes, they reduced your own self-damage reduction from minus 25% to minus 15%. And that just means you take a little bit more damage from rocket jumps. And that is notable because one of the really good things about the Airstrike before was that you'd take minus 25% less rocket jump damage, and then you wouldn't take fall damage. So it would be like a really efficient rocket jumping weapon. It's not so much anymore. You have to be more careful with your health. You have to sort of camp health kits more, and I'll get into that later. So what do these changes mean? Well, basically, you've got a slightly worse rocket launcher with the ability to fire faster while blast jumping, which is great. But then you've also got the ability to gain rockets on kill, have a ridiculous number of rockets eventually, and then fire them all out rapidly. Like, this weapon is so good. I'm not sure why more people aren't talking about it, because I've been able to just tip everything upside down with it. Like, if you just follow a simple strategy of sitting back from the point of the objective, camping a health kit, making sure you're fully reloaded, you've got high health, because you have to be very careful when using this weapon, you do more damage to yourself on rocket jumps. And then you just simply jump in and basically just shit out your 8 rockets on the ground. Don't even really aim, just sort of like, it's okay. Kills. Easy kills. It's so ridiculous. I tell you what, it's really, really fun to use though. It's weird because I sort of think this weapon needs to get a little nerf, a little change, because it's a bit too strong right now. But at the same time, it's just so much fun to use that I kind of want to just be quiet about it and keep it to myself. Regardless though, making it a little bit OP is probably more fun than making it completely unusable, which it wasn't before. But I mean, I've been in situations where I've like been hovering above, let's say, a heavy and shooting all my rockets at him, and he's just kind of looking at me, not taking any damage. So I do appreciate the fact that you can use it now, but I hope they do something little in the future to adjust it. So yeah, so far on this gameplay, I've just been sitting back to avoid that damn sniper who keeps picking me off from spawn. The enemy team doesn't really push out, so there's not really too much ways for me to take him out, apart from shooting all of my rockets at him, and he doesn't react in time, which happens a few times. Yeah, not exactly. So here's me taking out the sniper right now. I guess he's not used to 8 rapid fire rockets coming at him while he's trying to snipe from spawn. This recording has been kind of tame in terms of my use of the Airstrike. I've had some gameplays where I've gone ridiculous, like 40 kills to no death, 50 kills to no death. It's just really stupid what you can do with this weapon. Particularly against lower skilled players. I mean, you're hovering like above them. They don't notice you. No one looks up, of course. And you've got such a huge damage output, such a great escape mechanism as well with your own rocket jumps, and it's just really an all-around great weapon. I can understand though, like, it's got some downsides. I mean, in comparison to stock, if you were fighting another soldier, you'd pretty decisively lose, because you've got a whole bunch of negatives that the other soldier doesn't have to deal with. Also, you're sort of Well, I guess you're not forced to use the base jumper, but I really enjoy using the two together. If I was a bearded soldier, I could probably use it with the gunboats and do just as well, but I'm really not too great at rocket jumping or anything like that. It'd be really interesting to see this weapon paired with other items. I was thinking of with the conch or with the buff banner. So yeah, that's a little round on Snowplow, and now we're off onto Borneo, and I'm trying out the Liberty Launcher. So what have they done with the Liberty Launcher? Simple, just plus 25% clip size, so turned it from a 4-shot rocket to a 5-shot rocket, just like the Cow Mangler used to be. Still has its minus 25% damage penalty, so your rockets won't be doing too much. But I really like the way it is right now, and me getting into quite an unfortunate situation. Spies in front and behind me. What are you gonna do? Anyway, yeah, so the fact that you have 5 rockets in your clip kind of means that you sort of don't need a secondary. I mean, I'm sure a shotgun would have been helpful in this gameplay, but the fact that I can sit back, reload 5, and have that many rockets in combat to knock my enemies around with, despite the fact that they don't do as much damage, it really allows me to make the most of one of the banners, and I've chosen to use the conch this gameplay. I really like using these two weapons together, especially in pubs when there aren't too many medics frequenting around. And you'll see the increased projectile speed on the Liberty Launcher shown off against the scout. The poor spy is not able to predict my really strange 80-80 when shooting this scout. I love it when that happens. So yeah, it's really fun just reloading all 5 rockets, filling up your banner, and going in. I'm really not used to the increased projectile speed. And then when I switch off it with the black box later on, you'll see that I don't exactly adjust to going back to normal. But it's just the kind of thing I need to play with more. Before this update, the Liberty Launcher was a really uninteresting weapon. I mean, you'd just end up using all 4 of your rockets on a high health overheal target, and then just being pretty much a sitting duck. The lower damage, the increased what I mean is the increased projectile speed and decreased rocket jump damage, while very useful, just didn't at all make up for the huge 25% damage penalty. But now it's a weapon that I could see myself using a lot more often. It's really fun. I purposefully ignored that spy, I swear. I knew he wasn't a threat. He looked sort of dopey to me. Although it could have just been the best acting in the world. And here, I come into a bit of a 2v1. Can't say it ends well for me. So here's a situation where it's obviously like if I had a rocket launcher that did more damage, could have won that. But I really think the upsides can kind of balance out the downsides, and it's a decent side grade. So now moving on here to the black box. One of the less interesting changes, I mean, it's sort of a straight nerf, but at the same time it can be better than the way it was. It's most of the time just worse. So what they've done is instead of just healing 15 health for every target hit by one of your rockets, so if you shoot someone with a rocket, heal 15, or if you shoot 2 people, you heal 30, like, you understand. They've done it based on radius damage, so it's capped per attack at 20 max, which is a huge nerf. So like, let's say doing 45 damage will give you plus 10 health, and hitting 3 enemies for 45 each for a total of 135 will only heal plus 20 health. So yeah, it's pretty much just a straight nerf. At least healing them before, which I can understand. There's plenty of reasons for that to happen to the weapon. I like the change. The black box was never really a weapon I got frustrated with, but I know other soldiers found it really annoying to be in a 1v1 with another soldier and for them to lose just because they had the black box equipped. Its heal can really turn a fight on its head. And here's me failing every rocket jump, failing every rocket to hit the spy. The medic has to do my work for me. Eventually I just blow him up in my own face. Yeah, the changes to the black box, I don't know, it was never really a weapon I liked using, because you were always very dependent on your secondary. Like, I just feel really limited in the number of rockets that I have, and it's also frustrating that that you can't really use the shotgun with it. I mean, I guess you can, but I've found that the gunboats and the conch are much more effective. Um, but in terms of using rockets like on the flanks without much healing, the Liberty launcher is now another really good option to compete with the black box, which is great. And I think this nerf makes them weapons a bit more even. See that heavy giving me a sandwich. What is this? I get really lucky with this sentry. Someone distracts it from behind and lets me take it out just before it would have mowed me down. And as you see, I let the scout in front of me die as well. Making plenty of mistakes in this gameplay. Conqueror Black Box has been a really well-known combo for a long time, kind of notorious. I think it's a little bit more balanced now. I mean, it was never really that powerful. The soldier's burst damage has really been reduced, only having 3 rockets. See that soldier with a skin? I kind of wanted to pick it up, but I had to use the black box, and I was grumpy about it. Finally getting backstabbed. Yeah, this team we're playing against has plenty of spies, and I'm not doing a good job to dispatch them at all. After this update, it feels really good playing soldier, because it does truly feel like you've got a bunch of options that you can use, a bunch of side grades that work better for different situations. If you have a medic or no medic, or if you're up against a team with lots of sentries, or if you're in a map with a really open skybox and lots of room to maneuver around with your parachute. And I really love that. Soldier's a great class, and he's really had his arsenal expanded in this update, and hopefully not in a way that unbalances the game. I don't know. Maybe I'm overhyping the Airstrike. It's probably not as good as I'm saying it is. I hope it isn't, because that weapon is so damn fun to use. I think I just get lucky using the black box. I'm not aiming well at our look at this heavy. Oh, he's like standing still. Let's miss 2 rockets other side. The spy behind me misses a backstab. He gets distracted. Like, what is this? It's too. And oh, another random crit for me, because I deserve it, right? I actually had trouble getting a black box gameplay. Every time I put the weapon on, it seemed to be a steamroll on my team or a steamroll on theirs. Really weird. Me showing off my incredible skills. Failing 3 jumps in a row, and I just decided, no, I'm just going to go for the card. This is fighting people too hard. Let's just push the objective. Having 3 rockets made dealing with these heavies and sentries that come up a bit of a pain, but at the same time I probably would have died without the healing from it. It's really hard to tell. I haven't got my health numbers on, an option on my HUD to show when I gain health. I accidentally turned it off or something. And I should really have it on, because it's making it difficult for me to judge how valuable the black box is in-game. But I think I can safely say if I was using the old black box right now, I would be doing a lot better. Skipping respawn, getting right back into the action. Me just throwing myself at the heavy, apparently. And this game's made me very wary of the spies, so I'm always checking behind me, anyone looking suspicious. So yeah, I see the sentries. I know I'm going to have to go around to take them out. And that's one of the really big downsides of the black box. And I'll show you a clip of the Airstrike right now. Me using it to take out a sentry. It's really good at that as well, if it wasn't good enough already, right? I thought I could maybe take out these sentries by jumping over that little fence. Didn't seem to work, although the enemy teams decided to just give me a complete free reign on these sentries from behind, not bothering me at all actually. They come over to heal me, in fact, which is really helpful. I could be doing a much better job of peeking these sentries in this heavy, but it seems that all I need to really do this game is get lucky, and I'm honestly fine with that. Anyway, taking these out, I'm really glad that Palo Borneo was put into the game. It's never been really a map that I could say I really loved. I mean, I've played it a few times in custom map servers, and it's always been sort of an iffy experience. I don't think I've really played it enough to fully decide if I like it or not. But I know that the community really likes it, and I'm really glad we've just got some new things to try out, basically. Payload's been a really popular pub game mode for a lot of people, and I know this map will mean a lot to them. Anyway, finally taking out this pyro that's been reflecting me this entire game, and just abusing the fact I don't have my shotgun with me. I'll have to bring it along next time to show him a lesson. Anyway, it's the final push, and of course I'm not there. I do nothing to help. This sentry, what was this NG thinking? Anyway, that was lots of fun. I'll be back tomorrow as the pyro, if I can get a decent gameplay, because I'm terrible at pyro. I don't know why. See ya.